Gospel, can you put your camera on?
It's dark where I am, so
That's
I'm moving
fine.
away.
It's dark where I am too.
Hi.
Pressure. Today I have my camera on, so you.
So no one has an excuse.
I'm right here.
Hey, Terry.
Hello, lady. How you doing?
I'm good. I have my camera on today.
You should have warned me, you know.
So what?
I said you should have warned me that I had to put my camera on.
Oh, I know. All right, I think we can start. We have a few people. Eunice's Army. And okay, we are coming in. Okay, so I'll just start off. So so we're just doing this very casual conversation so that our Army advisors can introduce themselves, no pressure, just like one sentence about yourself. And if the Army members have any questions, because we have a wide variety of people in our advisory group. So if you have any questions, you can ask them. Can everyone please put their cameras on? Boama. I'm gonna start mentioning names. Elvis, please put your camera on. And Jesse. Okay, so does anyone want to go first? Advisors?
I think I'll go first.
Okay.
As the most, the most senior, probably in age,
Oh.
and the least, and the least Gen Z. Also, in terms of age, I think it makes sense for me to go first. So I'm Anthony Hagen. I'm Lady's older brother. So I've known her all her life. Seeing her whole transition into what she's doing now. Super, proud, super interesting stuff. Quick background on myself. I'm based in New York. I've been, in terms of career, I've been in finance my whole career. So it's about 20 plus years. I started in accounting. I did accounting for about 4 or 5 years. In the past 17 years, I've been working in sort of financial investing. My current role now is at a firm called Colonial Consulting, even though the name is going to be changing soon. And what we do is we advise endowments and foundations on where to invest their money for a return. I work in something called private assets, and that encompasses venture, growth, buyout, oil and gas, real estate, infrastructure, timber, mining, all that sort of stuff. So it's things where you lock up your money for a long time and you want excess returns, usually after about 10 years. So that's what I've been doing in my current role for about 13 years. Just to add a little bit of perspective to, how I fit in, and also to, add a little bit of levity, I was actually born in Comerica.
No, we will not be using that term.
Which is,
Formerly
known, I think I was born in Bantuma, but I'm not sure, formerly known as Kumasi, Comerica. So, I'm heavy in these streets.
Oh no.
That's it for me.
Unacceptable.
I can follow up. My name is George Hagan, also known as NT, also known as Geo, which is kind of like my pen name. I'm based in New York City too. And to describe my career, I would say first off, I'm a writer. And then after that, I would say I'm a specialist in the whole culture, content, and marketing lane. I think the different industries that I know the most about are media and lifestyle. I actually have a little bit of a break in my career because in college, I was a chemistry major, like doing science. And then somehow after I graduated, I got this epiphany that I don't want to be mixing chemicals my whole life. So somehow I got into writing and I figured out I was good at it, and I haven't looked back since. So I've written for different magazines. I've been the head editor at different publications, music, fashion. So as you can already tell, like my job is way less serious than my older brother, Anthony. I didn't even add that in the beginning. I'm Lady's like second oldest brother. So I come right after Tony, who went first. And my current position, I work for Complex Networks in New York City, and they're a huge like entertainment company. They do like their own shows. They had a publication. They have their own merch. So at this point, I'm the content lead for the Complex Shop, which is pretty much their e-commerce and business division. And they sell anything from hoodies, like designer gear, to hot sauce. And yeah, just like anything that sort of people in culture are into. And yeah, that's about it.
Tuala, is your camera on?
No.
All right.
Okay, please put your camera on.
All right. Can you all hear me? I think I'll go next.
Yeah.
I'm Gerald Hagen. Also Lady's older brother. I come right after Gio. I'm based in Boulder, Colorado. And first of all, I just want to say I'm really, really excited to be part, of, the Rajo Army and be one of the advisors. I think, the goal, of Rajo Army, what we are trying to accomplish, I think it's really, really great. And I'm super happy, to be involved, in this initiative. So in terms of a little bit about my background, what I do, primarily I'm a security professional. So I've been focused on analyzing, security threats, both in the government sector and in private sector as well. So I've worked with the US government on some projects focused on Africa. But for the last, I would say for the last maybe five years, I've worked in the private sector. So I was previously in New York working at NBC Universal in their global security department. And currently I'm here in Boulder, Colorado, working at Google, also doing the same security related stuff. Just to add, throughout my career, I've always been focused on youth empowerment, youth development. I've been part of several mentoring programs. I've worked with several high school and college students. So I feel I bring a lot of that experience here. I'm just excited to guide and provide any feedback that anyone may need. So just happy to be here. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah. So in summary, that's my family. So Tony and Jerry are the serious ones, and Gio and I are the not serious ones. All right. Cool. Does anyone want to go next?
Only serious in career because we are also pretty foolish.
Too true, too true. So I'll go next, Lady. So Lady is my sister-in-law. I am married to Jerry. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado with him. And I just want to start by saying as well that this is such a great opportunity that you all have just to interact and ask questions, talk to people from different backgrounds. And I hope that you're able to, use this time to explore any little interest that you have with all of us. And hopefully we can be helpful with that. So I had a little bit of a, career shift, not as extreme as NT, but I started off as pre-med. And then while I was in college, I found out about public health. And so I've been in the public health field for the last, I think it's about 10 years now. And what interested me in public health was the ability to help communities and actually prevent people from getting sick and experiencing illness rather than that one-to-one interaction. And so I've taken public health all across the US, but I've worked on a lot of projects ranging from substance abuse, drug use amongst youth, to making sure that kids have a safe childcare environment to be in during the day. And I'm now here in Boulder, Colorado, working on equity issues. If you've been following anything that's happening in the US right now, you know that we have a huge issue here. Actually, it's been there, but it's kind of boiled up now on equity. So that's what I am currently working on right now. And so all my work is basically focused on just working in communities.
Nice.
Thank you, Markisha.
All right. I'll go next. Hey everyone, my name's Jeffrey Sefabwachi. I am Lady's cousin, so I've seen her grow from a little bambina to where she is now doing amazing things. So very happy to be here. So similar to Kumerica Tony, I started my career in finance, worked at Goldman Sachs, worked at the Stanford Management Company's endowment. So really working in private equity type things where you're investing money for other people and making sure that they get richer. After a while, I realized I really didn't want to do that anymore. So over the past 5 years, I've been more on the startup side of things. So I'm based in California. So if any of you have questions on startups, starting your own things, how to get VC funding, things along those lines, I have a lot of thoughts on that. So yeah, happy to be here. And
also, Jeffrey went to Stanford. So when people become members, we have them fill out forms, things that they're interested in, and many people are interested in going to Stanford. So maybe down the line, we can have some kind of tips that you can give to members that want to get into Stanford.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to mention, I head up the alumni chapter chair for Ghana, so for Stanford.
Nice.
So yeah.
Maybe we can have a partnership with the Raja Army. Yay!
Yeah. All right.
Okay, cool. All right, who wants to go next?
Yes, I'll go next. When you said who wants to go next, I just thought about that TikTok video with the cartoon that says who's next, but I can't dance. So. I can't dance, so I won't be dancing. So my name is Sandra. I work for, or I guess I should start with my education. I went to school for health science, and I kind of don't work in it anymore. I work for the government, and what I do is negotiate contracts for the government. So the projects Markisha was talking about, for example, different agencies and companies, private, universities, public, etc., they all put in or bid on contracts to fund their projects. And the government decides, who's going to get what and sets up projects, timelines, and things like that for them to accomplish, hopefully something that's useful to the population. But I can't get into specifics unless unless you ask me a question, but I can speak in broad terms because I don't want to compromise anyone's information. So hopefully that covers what I do.
Thank you, yeah, baby.
Oh my God.
Anyone next? We have Terry, we have Gospel, and we have Boama.
And Eunice.
Eunice.
Okay, I can go next.
Eunice is not fun. is the boss.
Okay, so my name is Terry Copson. I'm a former classmate of Lady from Achimota School. So I work for an oil and gas servicing company called Baker Hughes. So my current role is I'm the sales manager covering Central Africa and Far West Africa. Okay. So yeah, I have over 10 years experience in the oil and gas sector. I started out at GMPC for 1 year. Then the past 10 years I've been at Baker Hughes. So I've had various roles, mainly technical, but for 2 years now I've been in a sales role. So I've had the opportunity of working, in Asia, in South America, in Europe, in America, etc. So I have some good international experience. So I'm very happy to be part of this group and available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. So it seems gospel ran away. So Boama.
Wow.
Why? Where did gospel run off to?
Oh, there he is.
I went to get my charger.
Okay.
Wait, should I go next?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, since the 20 accolades people have spoken, so me, the young one, I don't have much to say, but I'm David Bueno, co-founder of Beautiful Story Studios, with Eric Boama. I went to Ashesi University. I completed Ashesi just last year, so my accolades are not that many. I just finished university. But within like the past 3 years of our career, we've worked with companies like Apple, Unilever, Chelsea FC, with Lady, the Raja company. And the recent Black is King with Beyonce. Yes.
Wow.
So things pertaining cinematography, I'm your guy. Things pertaining photography, Eric is your guy.
Seems like he's doing it for me then.
It's hard to speak about myself in innovation area because our work is together. But in general, I started off my career thinking I was going to be a computer scientist. Well, at some point, I went to Ashesi. Most people don't remember this or even know this, but I went to Ashesi to study computer science. But somewhere in the second year, first year, ending of first year, I worked on an assignment where I fell in love with filmmaking. So I made my first video by then, just for an assignment. For some reason, it stuck with me. So, well, from an assignment, we are here. So I think that's kind of like a general summary of my career because it hasn't been long. But yeah.
Thank you, gospel.
Thank you too, lady.
Boama.
So my name is Boama Eric, co-founder of Beautiful Story Studios and Gospel's partner. He's pretty much said almost everything.
Why are you pretending here? Why so?
But as he said, like we're all uni graduates. You don't have that much of accolades. So I think I'll just So I think I'll just share on where exactly my interests lie, as well as what I'm looking at futuristically doing. The baseline of it is I just like to make money and make good money. So why not just help people while trying to do that? Yeah. So I think that's the most basic of lines of it. So anything business strategy, how to find money where you can't see money. Probably I could be your guy. How to close a deal, I could be your guy. How to make something work, I might be your guy. So things along those lines. And when it comes to the photography part of it, just as the name of the company suggests, beautiful stories, just telling the stories of other people just to make their lives better, pretty much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you. So I think these are all the advisors we have on. Tony said that he was going to be 15. No, the other Tony said he was going to be 15 minutes late. And the other Tony, actually two Tony said that they'll be late. So so in summary, as you know, like everyone that introduced themselves, they have a relationship with me because pretty much anytime I need anything, these are the people I go to. Like That's it. That it's as simple as that. So because I can trust these guys, I just assume that I can, put Army decisions in their hands if I am not capable. So that's why we have these guys, and I mean, they're fun, but they're very smart, all of them, each and every one of them. So yeah, that's what it is. So does anyone have any questions for any of the advisors? So we have Crystal, we have Christine, we have Davis, we have Elvis, we have Mariam, we have Monica, we have Reginald, we have Tuala, Isaac. Okay, Anthony is here. So anyone have any questions? You guys are not showing your faces, but do you have any questions for anyone? No? Eunice, Malise didn't come.
He told me he was coming on. I don't know why he's not here.
Oh,
Like, let me.
That's fine. No.
Lady,
Mm-hmm.
do you think they would mind sharing some of their interests, what they're interested in?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Does anyone want to share what your interests are? Tuala, any interests?
Yeah, I do have interest. I do have IT. I found myself moving to the IT section. I don't know, lately, just trying to see if I could work it out.
So what do you
that's my only.
What do you mean?
Lately, I've been thinking of doing something related to IT. So I don't know if anyone could help me along those lines.
So, is there any particular area in IT? Like, what exactly are you looking to do?
That's what I haven't figured out yet.
Why IT? Like, how did that come up?
I don't even know. I just realized that, because maybe I did my final project work, something related to IT. So
what
then I feel
what was that work about?
The use of IT in special schools.
So did you take an IT class or?
Yes, I've taken about 3 or 4 of them.
This was at the university level or lower?
University level.
Was the class a university class or a secondary school, or where did you take it?
University. Yes. First year, second year, third year. Yeah.
Gotcha. Was it like coding, or was it computer science or support? Because there's so much, and they, depending on who you speak to, like if you did tech support, right? Some people like tech support because they can interact with a customer, and some people don't want to speak to anyone, so they want to, code behind the scenes. So is there like any particular area type that you're thinking about, or?
Yeah. I have like a lot of them, and I still don't know what my interest really is, because I haven't really done my research on the various fields that I have in. So I just want to really do extensive research on those fields, and then probably pick up one that will work for me.
I think one thing you might want to explore is ed tech, because that's a big movement, just like how healthcare, the future of work and also education is all changing, and that's been accelerated because of COVID, right? You might want to explore educational or education technology, sort of how we're all using Zoom now. A lot of people are using Zoom for classrooms. And how do you, let's say, grade kids, or how do you make sure the kids are engaged and stuff? So that's a section of technology, but the world is actually moving in that direction. So maybe because your special project was in schools and tech, maybe, when you start your Google or your research process, maybe you use that as your starting point, and then you can drill down a little deeper into that. But that's a good place to be now. I mean, COVID sped it up, but the world is moving there, definitely, different educational technology.
Yeah, I agree with what Tony just said. I think just going or building on what your final project was, like using that as your baseline, because I think sometimes we all need a baseline, like a starting point. So like you said, you did your final project and it seemed interesting, so I think that's a good starting place for you to see where you can add on, from that final project and see what else is out there, and I think that will also help you figure out if this is the field that you're actually interested in, and I think that's always going to be a lifelong journey. You're always going, to be wondering, what am I good at? What is it that I want to do? And I think, no matter how old you are, you're always going to be asking yourself those questions. But I think it's good that you've identified something, some sort of interest, and now it's just time to build upon it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just to add to what Jerry said too about not being afraid to test the waters and then change direction. I think it's something that, like, if you don't go, you don't know. So there might be something you just like dip your fingers in and then you see that, whoa, I really hate this. And the thing is, you're young, so you have time.
Yeah.
So you can play in different lanes until you find your lane. And I think the whole message is like, it's a continuous journey, and you just like keep on adding skills. And the last thing, just a more specific lane, like what Tony was saying about ed tech. I have a brother-in-law who's like deep into blockchain. And there's so many sort of like applications now, even for what's going on with COVID and healthcare, and just like seamless, like sort of teledoctor visits and things like that. So I think that area is like super blowing up now. Like COVID just accelerated everything, like my older brother Tony said.
Yeah, that's true. And just to follow up on what everyone said, just like a general message for everyone, is like, as you saw Markisha and Gio and me, even, we kind of changed our career path, like what we thought we will do versus what we're doing now. So don't have too much pressure, like you have to find something now and that is going to be your career for life. Like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, you switch it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I completely agree. I was actually going to say I started out wanting to do computer science. And after getting to class at like 7 a.m. a few times, I realized, no, this is not it. But it was because I liked my computer science teacher in high school. I realized later it was just because I liked the teacher. It had nothing to do with the class itself. So the college teacher wasn't doing it for me. And I realized, yeah, that's not it. So change your mind as often as you need to. But the good thing with IT is whatever knowledge you learn, you can apply it everywhere.
Right.
All the different sectors that everyone talked about, the health sector, the finance sector, all that. You'll have people coming to you saying, how did you figure out this formula? Or how did you put that in? So it'll be useful for you even if you change your mind later on.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, and speaking of ed tech and your final project specifically, I have someone who has a startup in relation to your final project, and maybe you would want to connect with him. Yeah, he's founder of Tech Era. They create software for special schools and people with disabilities, as well as 3D printing. Even they go as far as 3D printing. What's it called? Yeah, they just do a lot. They are in that space. So maybe you'd want to connect with them.
For sure. That's why it's good to know people in high places. Thanks, boss. Anyone else have
which high place?
Does anyone else have a question, or do you want to share your interests and see how we can?
Lady Malis is here.
Hi, Mali. Malis, I was looking for you. I hope you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I just joined, so I don't know what is going on.
Yeah, you were late. Yeah, 30,
Yeah.
30 minutes late. But so we went around and we introduced all the advisors, and now we're asking if any of the members have any questions or any interest that you think the advisors can help with.
Oh, okay. Okay, but I'm just joining, so let's continue. Maybe along the line.
Okay, thank you, Mali. All
Can
right.
I share something quickly?
Yeah.
That I think, lady, I was talking to you about earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that I've become so, I always had it, but now it's like more than ever, is my strong belief in Ghanaian exceptionalism.
Right.
Of like people from Ghana being able to merge into, I just think it's some trait that the people have of like just being able to merge into different lanes, immerse themselves in it, and get to the very top of like whatever they're doing. So I just wanted to share that no matter how far or distant like a goal looks, it doesn't matter. Like I think it's something that's in our DNA, that you can just like, as long as you focused on it and you get into it. I don't know whether maybe it's just like we're too diplomatic, we like to joke, we like to study, whatever it is. Something about that, people just gravitate to it, and Ghanaians just killing it everywhere. It makes me so proud.
Yeah.
And I think just like everyone just go get it, man.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Isaac has his hand up. Do you have a question or something to say? Isaac, you're on mute.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, hello everyone. I wanted to contribute by sharing my interest.
Okay, sure.
Yes, so I'm Isaac. I'm actually University of.
We can you repeat that, please?
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Hello? Yes, I'm a graduate of the University of Ghana.
Okay.
Yes, so in sharing my interest, I'm someone who aspires to be a leader. So whilst in the university, I undertook some positions whereby I was part of the SRC Finance Committee. Through my leadership role, I ended up being the head of a peer counseling club in University of Ghana called University of Ghana Peer Counselors Club.
Okay.
Yes, but my interest also arises in business whereby I want to be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So in due to this, I have come up with some businesses which I'm into. Firstly, I'm into a news firm whereby it's a business I've established, but it's called the Credible News. So what we do is that we source out news from events happening. We try to make sure that we get our clients credible information. Yes, because comparing this credible information I'm talking about, you see that Corona was in, and people were like, "Oh, okay, since you need an alcohol-based sanitizer, it means even when we use alcohol, the virus will go." But through this credible information I've been given, I tend to give people that, okay, it's not drinking the alcohol that will make sure the disease or the virus goes away, but it is practicing the safety protocol, that's washing of your hands using the alcohol-based sanitizer itself. So at least with the credible news is moving on further, small. But I also have one which is also into the real estate sector. So we help clients with finding properties which they are willing to buy or to rent and all that. But I'm also working on venturing into the agricultural sector since, when we entered into the coronavirus, we saw that there is a need to grow and ensure that there is enough food so that we don't go hungry, whereby there will be famine and all that. But with all my, what I want to do is that I need someone who will mentor me as son, and people who would also want to partner with me or invest.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I don't. Oh, what happened? We lost it. Oh,
Thank you for sharing.
yeah,
Hello?
that's great. I mean,
Yeah, hello.
yeah, yeah. I think that's.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, hello. So
Mhm.
I'm looking for people who want to partner with me to grow this business, people in any of this business, so we work things out, so achieve great things.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Isaac, for sharing. I like that, like, you're into so many different things. So you have your hands in many different pots. Maybe after you can share the documents or your websites and everything with Eunice, and then I can share it with our advisory team, and then we'll get back to you on the best way we can support.
Yeah, and just to add to that a little bit, just from the business side, and maybe Jeffrey can also jump in. I think with all these ideas, it's great, but it's one of those things where, and I think every entrepreneur goes through it. So there's a chicken and an egg aspect to all this stuff, because you might have all these fantastic ideas, but in order to get funding, you need a track record, regarding how successful you've actually been. And if you don't, it's just like going to the bank and you want a loan, and then they only give people who already have money a loan. So you're like, oh, but how can I, have money when I'm coming here for a loan? It's the same thing in business and entrepreneurship. So what you might want to do on a small scale is show the track record of the traction that these businesses, are getting, right? So how far, what's the trajectory? Did you start with one client in, let's say, 2019, and now we're in 2020, you have 15 clients? Did you start charging them a certain amount in the beginning, but now your recurring revenue or whatever is at a certain amount? Like anything that's tangible, right, that you can show a potential investor, because I mean, they're sticking their neck out with capital for you, right? So you need to make sure that their investment has enough downside protection as possible, right? So it's one of those things where, and I know, when you're starting out, you don't have cash and all this sort of stuff, but the things you do have, you got to make sure you're documenting them really well. You're showing some sort of level of growth, right? That somebody would be willing to step in and actually take that level of risk. So that's just some low hanging fruit advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely want to highlight the writing up the business plans and documenting everything that you do, because let's say, like for instance, take Elon Musk, for example. He did PayPal first, then he did Solar City, now he's doing Tesla, and it's all one project building on top of another project for some master plan that he has like 20 years down the line. So Isaac, what you're saying, you have a whole bunch of different things that you're interested in. Just try and tie them together. And even if they don't all perfectly match each other, as long as you're incrementally improving and showing that traction and that track record, you should be in a good spot going forward.
I could add a little bit to the media part as well, since that's where I've spent the majority of my career. Basically, for me, I think media is just like hacking human emotion and like knowing what people will gravitate to. And I think you already said that you've done that to a certain extent with the example that you brought up. But I think an important part of media too, the serious part, is tracking the analytics, tracking the data of who's listening, what particular demo likes your content more than other people. And there's different tools that you can use, but I think it goes back to what like Tony was saying, like you have to have, even if it's fun, even if it's something that's a little bit intangible, it's nuanced, you still have to find a way to track it and keep your numbers, because that's how you make money. Like advertising, your advertisers will ask you, who do you reach? What numbers do you have in this particular city? Things of that nature. And if you don't know what you're talking about, you just won't get the money. So those are like little things to think about too, going forward.
Thank you. So I just want to note that our advisors, Anthony Boagbe is here, Tony Anderson, and Zulky, they are all here. So, yeah.
Welcome. To add to what everyone just mentioned, it works the same way in the government sector with regards to recording past performance. It's actually a metric that we use when someone asks for contract or grants to see, okay, what have you done with resources that you've been given in the past? And sometimes it's just something like doing volunteer work. That counts for something, or being part of a group to say, oh, I helped the Rajo Army set up something, and that you can add that to your resume. So feel free to include every work that you've done, even if it's not paid work or if it's intern work that you weren't paid for. Make sure you document it as you go. Don't discount it as, oh, I wasn't paid for that, or that organization is not as well known. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just a conversation starter, or someone might know someone just by making sure you have it on the documents that you submit. So definitely document and analyze, and do a risk assessment. If you were that person, would you give your money to that person?
Right.
You know, so put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have something to share or ask?
Catherine, can I ask you a question?
Catherine, who's Catherine?
Just like with the way the whole world is like changing so rapidly, and I've been talking to just mad people about it, that COVID just like put everything on warp speed.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, I really just sort of love what you're doing with Rajwa, the Rajwa Army, and showing just like how big you can expand your thinking to get into whatever you want to do, like as big as your dreams can go. How are you thinking the next couple of months are going to evolve for the Army? Is that something you've put some thought into already?
Yeah, I mean, everyone that knows me knows that I am very fascinated and obsessed with the Gen Z generation. I think the Gen Z, which are pretty much the Army members' age, so kind of like from 25 and lower, I think they are the generation that are going to change the world, because the thing is, the Gen Z are very bold. Like, you guys are so bold. You're not afraid of anything, and you don't care. Like, you don't care what people say, and then you just do what you think. And that is a very important trait to have, especially this day and age. Like, you have your voice and you use it for the right things. And that's why I really respect the Gen Z. And the reason I wanted to form the Rajwa Army is because I've studied the Gen Zs in America, and I've studied the Gen Zs in Japan and in Korea. And I'm trying to still understand how the Gen Zs in Ghana work. You guys still have the same traits, but I kind of want you guys to push more, like no barriers. Like, do you see how the Gen Zs worry Trump? Be like, when he does something wrong, you see how they worry him on Twitter and TikTok? That's the power that Gen Zs have, and that's kind of what I'm trying to really instill in the Gen Zs in Ghana, just to go for it. And I think the barriers that we face in Ghana is, well, I don't know whether it's, maybe barrier isn't the right word, but slight hiccups that we face is like the strong culture. You know, it's like culture, like there's that respect thing, which is good to have. But sometimes right is right and wrong is wrong. So sometimes not everyday respect, like you just do what is right. And also religion, right? Like, religion is great, but I think, like, you know, that those are some of the things that we have to work with to get what we want, like the Gen Z. So that's what I'm working at. I just want to make the Gen Zs in Ghana as bold as you can, and just know. And then one thing that the power that the Gen Zs have is they are able to gather. So they gather a lot. Like it's easy for them to gather people. Like for example, I was explaining this to my brothers that you can see the power of Gen Zs in Ghana when you look at this whole Comerica thing. It's Gen Zs doing it. But just see how, like now I go on LinkedIn and I'm looking at flyers, and instead of Kumasi, they are saying we are doing it in Comerica on LinkedIn. So that should just show you the power that Gen Zs have. So imagine that instead of this, coming here, we're in Comerica or in the Bronx, or like instead of all that nonsense, but you actually do something, you know, like something that can change the country, like it'll be unstoppable. So that's my goal. And I just want to like lend my support and my connections and my network to people that need it, just so that you push yourself as far as you can go. Because you Gen Zs, you're crazy in the best way. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay, so I just want to add something, right? I think earlier on, Joe mentioned that, Ghanaians are very smart. And yeah, that's very true. So I remember early on in my career, like for all these training, like schools and stuff we went for, probably 80% of the time, Ghanaians were topping the class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they hardly asked any questions, you know, because of that timid character, you know. So let's say if the lecturer says something, you never find a Ghanaian person challenging that. Like it's, yes, a master, you know, the teacher is always right kind of thing, okay? Right. So guess what? So Ghanaians always top the class, right? However, when it comes to assigning people to big projects, the Nigerians were always being the ones assigned to these big projects. Why? Because, yeah, it's nice to be smart and all that, but you also have to be bold.
Yes.
You have to be visible, okay? And that's one thing with Ghanaians. Got like, and culture is just a cultural thing, I think, right? That's a major reason why we have that kind of hiccup or barrier, as you said.
Yeah.
Right. And so even the company, right, with Baker Hughes, you see majority of the leaders are, you know, Nigerians, just because of the attitude. So they, I mean, if this was a session with, would I say, some of these Nigerians, trust me, the questions and the, you know, the engagement would have been like probably 3 times as intense as what we have now. It's just, I think it's just a cultural thing, but it's very important to come out of that, you know,
shell.
Come out of that, shell, and just be visible. I mean, don't be afraid to take any risk. Ask questions. There's no question that's silly. You have all these people, all of us here to advise you and to help you out. So this is a really good opportunity. So I hope you can grasp it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. Everything you said is so true. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. You need to be out there, because Africa is it's the next, not even the next, is the spot now. Like everyone is looking to Africa. So we can't be the country that is just quiet when we are moving forward. You know, we have to be out there and make the moves that you know you can make. Because you guys know you're smart. You just have to put it out there. And it doesn't matter. Just say what you have to say. Who cares? So anyone else have anything to say? No timidness, please.
You can use the space to practice, because we're not gonna yell. We can't do anything to you. So
we're just here to help.
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Okay, hi Reginald.
Anyway, so I love cinematography. I love video editing. I love everything related to it. So David, is he around? Where is he? Oh yeah, cool. So I started editing videos in like school, in university, when I was in level 200, and ever since then I really, really loved it. I haven't stopped since then. Like ever since like 2018, I kept doing it over and over and over again until I got like noticeably better. Anyway, right now I I don't know actually know where to go with this, but I would like a little bit of direction to where to go as to where to go with my skill. Because right now what I do is like little promotional videos for people, and they pay me to do that sometimes. But I'd love to go further, you know, to make like short movies or documentaries or something like that. So like, and I just joined this. I mean, my business partner and friend made me join it. I didn't know it was this cool. Like, I honestly did not expect this much. I thought I didn't know. Okay, I feel like I'm
No
being
offense,
offensive.
offense
I didn't think it was going to be. I honestly did not think it was going to be this big a deal. So I'm like really shy. I'm standing right now. I can't sit. Like I'm so excited. Anyway, so I'd really love to know how to move forward with this.
Right.
Um.
Okay.
Yeah.
So gospel. Over to you.
I just knew lady would mention my name.
Well.
I think yeah, I started the same way, somewhere in second year or first year ish. I think when it comes to cinematography and filmmaking, it has to do a lot with practice. But at the same time, in getting better, you also need to think about the business of it, how to monetize your work, how to actually build a career of it. Because if you're good at anything and it's not sustainable, then it's a hobby in a sense, or it's something you do because you love, which could be okay. But if you want to take it off as a career, I think you should be looking at avenues of putting yourself out there in a business sense. You should be thinking of how am I gaining customers, or how am I building? Well, first off, you would need a portfolio to show. If you have one, or if you don't, you can still be building portfolio on the job, and that's something that a lot of people fail to realize. It comes with a lot of pressure, but it's also something that it takes a certain level of, in quotes, grit to do, because you know that what I'm doing, in a sense, I haven't done before, but I know that I'm good. So I want to do this and make sure that every work I'm doing is, in quotes, portfolio work. Um, yes, it's work for a client that I'm making money off, but it's also something that I'm doing with 100% of my ability. So it's especially in your first couple of years and even till date, I wouldn't want to accept work I know that doesn't even speak, you know, in quotes, gospel, or this work that they're asking me to do is not of a certain, it's not something that I'll be proud of, right? So it's I think monetizing what you do is something you should be looking at doing a lot. But
Oh.
at the same time, trying to get better every now and then as you're doing it. Just make sure that you're doing it with the intention of giving off your best on every single project, every single one, whether it's, as long as you've accepted a job, even if it's 5 CDs that you're being paid, that's an exaggeration, of course. But if as long as you've accepted it, you're doing it 100. That's never compromise on how good you want the work to come out. One thing I don't know whose quotes this is, but I like saying it that my best work is my next work. So if you have that as a motive, you'd always constantly be bringing in your A game, and you're not compromising on what you're producing. And I think when your work starts to speak for you, it's the best form of marketing. And more people will gravitate towards your work. I quite remember about somewhere in 2018, I did a project with Joshua Kisi, and I was asking him, well, your career started kicking off when you were 18 and you were being featured in New York Times and all these cool places, and you were just 18 and you were gaining all this traction or this attention. And I was asking, like, how is it that do you pitch to clients? Do you go to people? And he was like, nah, he doesn't approach people. He wasn't condemning the fact that it's good to approach people, but what he told me was that you have to be at a point where your work will speak for you. In a sense that if you enter a room, it's your work that has to show for you. That people will come to you at a sense where people will come to you because your work is good. It's a much better position than having to even pitch yourself. And it's much easier to pitch yourself when your work is good. So when the product is good, like take your favorite food joint, you go there because the food is good, right? And you continue to go there. The watch you sell on your street, you continue to go there just because you're satisfied with it, not because she asked you to come buy her watch. So it's the same way that you have to think of your product or your films you're creating. That every time you are creating that product for a client, it's also work that you want to sit in your portfolio, that this is something I created and this is something I'm proud of. The more you do that, and you consistently build your business side of things as well, then you are creating a sustainable company, or you're creating a sustainable career.
And then I just wanted to add to that, like, I just like your passion when you were talking about it. Like, you just seem like it's something that you really want to do. So if you can just send maybe some of your work to Eunice, and then I'll look at it. And then if we have some projects, we'll definitely get you on board as well. Because I want to just say that when I started working with Gospel was still at Ashesi. I think he was in second year or something. And I don't even think I saw any of Gospel's work before.
I don't think I had a portfolio by
then. Gospel didn't have any. But when I spoke to him and I just saw the passion that he had, and the way he was just talking, I was like, oh, before I saw his work, I just knew that I was going to be working with Gospel for a long time. And I kind of have the same vibes with you. I mean, I'm not saying that if your work is Sankwa's will work, but I have hope that it's not bad, So just send your stuff through and then we'll figure it out. And you're still young, so maybe if Gospel needs an assistant somewhere, maybe he can call you or something like that, just so that you can get some on-the-job training. So we'll see. We're not promising anything, but that's what we're here for.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
A quick thing to this, possibly, just for creative people, quote unquote creative careers like what you just described. I think there's this whole sort of like battle between me and like a lady I've discussed it recently about exposure and getting paid.
Right.
And I think sometimes you just have to like weigh the situation. And if you're young and you're just starting to get on and you get a chance to even be like a grip or be like an assistant on something that will give you exposure to meet some people, because these keys open doors, and maybe you're not getting paid for it, but the experience and the exposure will help you get to the next level. Do it. I mean, maybe 5-10 years down the line, like if people say you're gonna get a lot of exposure, say screw that, I have enough. But when you're starting in the beginning and you get a chance to get exposed and not really make that much of make a lot of money from a project, I say do it, because you're just like adding to your bank of stuff you can eventually take when you can command the price that you want for whatever project you're doing.
Exactly.
Just wanted to put that real quick.
Cool. All right, so we are already at our.
I'd like to add one more thing.
Sure, go ahead.
I'd like to add one more thing. Actually, I really needed to hear what Gospel said. I created this business with my partner, Mariam Hadi. She's in the chat right now. She's in the call right now. I don't know where she is. Okay. But sometimes the orders like get a lot, and then you sometimes want to compromise your quality so that you can complete the work and move on to the next thing.
Never.
And I really appreciate what he said about not doing that and then just pushing through and then finishing and making your next work your best work.
Yeah.
Anyway, the company is called Great Brand, and we're on Instagram right now. Most of our stuff is there.
Okay.
I'll send a link to Eunice and then you guys can
Yeah.
check out my stuff.
Sounds
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. All right, so we're at our 1 hour mark. If no one has anything to say, we will be ending it right here. So does anyone have any last questions before we wrap it up?
I just want to jump in real quick, and just say once again, I think this was a really, really great session. I think the one last piece of advice I'll throw out, to the group and the members of the Army is that, always strive to own your own story, and this is a discussion I've been having with, my older brothers, I think growing up, as we all faced in Ghana, and Terry alluded to this also, there's it's very easy to conform, like you're in primary school, we're all wearing the same school uniform, and but doing everything at the same time. You go to boarding school, you're doing this, you're doing that, and, it's a very regimented, type of system. And not to say it's all bad, it's not bad, but what I'm trying to say is, at some point, we all need to sit back and reflect and figure out what our story is. So what is your story? What do you want to, achieve? Where do you want to go? And I think those are the questions that we all need to be asking ourselves all the time, and I think, if there's anything that you're going to get out of this group is to be able, to eventually answer that question, is where do you see yourself in a few years, and how do you think you can contribute, whether it's through like what Reggie was talking about, Reginald was talking about, what he wants to do, or other members of the group, and I think we all need to learn how to reflect and ask ourselves those questions. What is your story? Because we're all very unique, and this is a group of very talented and smart individuals. So I think this is going to be a very wonderful journey for all of us. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. I also had something to add since I was late. Hi everyone, I'm
Hey,
Tony.
Tony. Tony is one of our advisors.
Yeah. I'm a creative director for Beautiful Stories, and I have diverse interests, as a lady knows, and almost everyone that knows me knows. One thing that I would, it's part of, it's both good and bad, but then we'll go on with that. One thing that I wanted to add before we leave is one of my main principles. I mean, we're all young, as lady would say, the Gen Zs. We are young, and it's very important that we're bold. And now I have two principles. I tweeted this the other time, and I realized I have these two principles that I always use when I want to achieve something. And then the two principles are, you do because you are, and then the next one is do until you become.
Right.
So do because you are means right before you do it, you should have the mindset that you're already there. Know that, be bold enough to see yourself in that position. Be bold enough to see yourself maybe making a movie that's going to be distributed on Netflix. Be bold enough to see yourself with a multi-billion company that is going to be trading stocks in like on the Wall Street and whatnot. Do because you are. So already put yourself there. And now as you put yourself there, you work on the second principle, which is do until you become. So and with that, I say perfect practice makes perfect. Not practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So as you keep on practicing, you carry yourself as someone who is already where he is.
Right.
Okay, so that doesn't mean you should be proud, but you should know the kind of people you have to relate with, the kind of network, even though you're young in air quotes, the kind of people that you have to relate with, the kind of places you're supposed to be. Okay, so the way you'd even dress, that's how I'll put it. So you would have to work towards that, but you first have to already be where you want to be mentally before you try to move there. So we must be bold, and be bold to yourself first before you try and move out there. Dare to dream, and know that you are able and very capable of doing anything. Because every other person that achieves something is also a human being just like you.
Exactly.
Okay.
I agree.
Right.
And by
So,
the way, Tony is Tony, like he said, he's so interested in everything, and he's good at everything, and he's one of the most creative people I know. His mind is crazy. If you give him chance, his mind just goes all over the place. But yeah, so if you need any crazy ideas, this is who you should reach out to. Cool. All right, so yeah, 1 hour is up. Thank you guys, and if you have any questions, you can bother
you're welcome.
Eunice. Cool. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, advisors. Thank you, members.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
All
you
right.
for
Bye.
having me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.